So one of the things people quite often ask me when they find out I like hiking Caminos is, wow, you must love bushwalking in Australia. That's not quite the case. I'll tell you why, coming right up. Okay, so if you're Australian, you probably know where I am right now, but this is actually up in the Blue Mountains National Park. It's about an hour and a half west of Sydney, where I live. And just look at this glorious location. This is a very ancient mountain range. There are all sorts of gorges and gullies and waterfalls. There are bushwalking tracks all the way through this area. And just coming down here this morning, I was seeing loads and loads of people going bushwalking. It is glorious. And in fact, with my wife Pat and my cousin yesterday, we were just over the back here doing a bushwalk. And you know, why am I not out here all the time bushwalking? I love hiking on the Camino, but I'm not so attracted to this. And I think maybe an explanation of that probably tells us a little bit about why Camino hiking is so unique. So did I enjoy our bushwalk here yesterday? Yes. One of the things here, generally in this area, is the bushwalking is quite arduous. So literally, we must have gone down 300 or 400 meters. It's sort of, you know, steps cut in the trail and on rocks and so on, and they have to come all the way back up, of course. So it's not as relaxing as walking on a Camino. It's quite an arduous trail, probably a little bit more like some of the through hikes in North America and so on. It's very attractive, you know, a lot of great natural scenery, lots of great animals, bird life and so on. So that is all fantastic. But why don't I go out often bushwalking here? It's a very different experience. So you're getting that exposure to nature and so on, which is wonderful, but there's a lot of things that are missing. And for me, that's where the Camino makes up for that in spades. And one of those things, I guess, is a sense of purpose. It's the fact that you actually have a destination in mind, Santiago de Compostela normally, so you have somewhere to aim for, although it's more about the journey than the destination, but you still do have that sense of purpose that you're actually heading somewhere. I think that's a big plus. The other big plus is that everybody you come across, I think, is kind of on the same journey. So you meet lots of wonderful people bushwalking here, but the difference on a Camino is that everyone you meet is heading in the same direction, literally along the same path, very often with a similar purpose in mind, you know, whatever that might be. It could be a religious, spiritual journey, it could be just, you know, time out, it could be finding themselves, all sorts of things. So that's quite unique as well, that sense of community and purpose. I think another big factor for me is the sense of history. So whilst this is beautiful scenery, I mean, stunning scenery, this is world class, that sense of history walking along any of the Camino routes is something very special to me, in that you're treading the path of, this is known as the Australian wave, by the Australian salute, or the Australian wave to keep the flies away. That sense of history along the Camino paths is a very powerful motivator for me. So getting that sense of walking the same route that people have walked for 1,000 years or more, and you can, I mean, I know it sounds weird, but if you've walked a Camino, you'll know this. You almost get a sense of the energy of those millions of pilgrims over the years having walked that same path. So that's pretty unique. And the history around you. And then, of course, there's that spiritual, religious element, which is very hard not to absorb some of, I think, on a Camino, because not only are you passing, you know, wonderful churches that are hundreds and maybe even 1,000 years old, but it's the wayside crosses, it's that the whole Camino is to a degree a spiritual experience. And of course, traditionally it was a very religious experience. So all of that sort of combined makes it a very attractive, very appealing difference to me in terms of that versus bushwalking. You know, bushwalking is a nice walk. in the country, and it's beautiful, but it just doesn't quite have that sense of purpose. So let me ask you the question: if you have done a Camino at least, or maybe many Caminos, do you do a lot of hiking and bushwalking, trail walking at home? I'm just curious. Why not answer down below? So I'd love to hear your comments. Right now we've been up here for a couple of days staying with my cousin, and we've done a bit of bushwalking, which was great. So you're seeing some of the scenes of that, and we're just heading back to Sydney. But I'll confess, I think we'll be back because the walking here is nice, even though it's not quite a Camino. So thanks for watching, and see you next week. Bye for now.